All right, everybody, we're here with Kathy Fettke, who we're going to let explain what she does in her life, because she does a lot of things, and I met her through Airbnb, actually. She's a great host, so thanks for coming on the podcast.
And here we are.
Beautiful Malibu, baby. That's the best. So, but yeah, anyways, thanks for letting us stay here, of course.
It's so fun.
We love it.
This is a first.
Yeah.
I've never had a guest do a podcast with me.
Oh, really?
No, this is a first.
You're going to be a real hit after this.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you're going to be a real hit. Get ready. This is going to be the best one I've done yet.
All right.
So tell me about, a little bit about what you do. I mean, you're in real estate?
I am.
Okay, so how did you get started in real estate in Los Angeles?
Well, no, not really.
Not really.
I didn't get started there. I was born and raised in San Francisco. It's also expensive, possibly more expensive. I watched, my dad buy a house for $70,000 when I was a teenager, and that's in Atherton.
Really?
Those are $6, $7, $8 million today. So it's a very different world. But I fell into real estate. Can I wait till those cars go by? Okay. I fell into real estate very much by accident.
Really?
Yeah.
By accident?
By accident. Yep.
Because that's a pretty, it looks like it's going well.
It's going well.
It
It worked out.
looks like it's going well.
But let me tell you, it was a long, hard road to get here.
I'm sure. I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
What is so where are you from originally?
I'm from Menlo Park, San Francisco.
So you're from the San Francisco area, and when did you come down to LA?
We came down in the midst of the Great Recession in 2009 when we lost everything.
Wow. Really? You lost it all?
Lost it all.
Wow. Is that, what the hell is that like? Especially in the Great Recession, especially
sucks.
to that.
Yeah, especially when my podcast had already taken off. I was really well respected in real estate and known. We have 88,000 members at Real Wealth who look to me for guidance in real estate. So it was a tough time for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you were really going through it, and you've got all these other people looking at you as well for advice on what they should be doing.
Yeah, and ironically, they were doing great because the advice I gave them was good, but I didn't take my own advice.
Yeah, that's got to be a tough lesson to learn.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Yeah. That's okay too, because eventually you learned it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, with real estate and like anything, if you over leverage, and one of the beautiful things about real estate is leverage. That basically means you borrow money from a bank. They let you buy an asset. You get all the upside. You get all the tax benefits. You get the rental income. But if you can't pay, the bank takes it back.
Right.
So you have to have enough reserves in place. You can't be too aggressive. And we were too aggressive. And I didn't follow my own advice, which was to only buy cash flowing properties. I bought some negative cash flowing properties. And guess what? That's not great.
And it's just terrible timing.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes.
Yeah.
And that's a risk you take when you go into the real estate market, though, right? I mean, it can happen.
It doesn't have to happen.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to ask
I can tell you everything I would have done differently,
Would you say, though, now that... So I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. So houses in Cleveland, Ohio, right, are in a much different price range.
Yeah, we're big fans of Cleveland. In fact, today...
We love that.
We teach people how to invest properly, and Cleveland is a great place to invest.
Yeah. So we appreciate you saying that. We love Cleveland. So... But it's unbelievable, though, to believe that all these houses can keep rising in price the way they are, and then there's never another bubble.
Bubbles are funny things, and I've been born and raised in California, and I've watched prices be out of reach since I was a child.
Right.
Even that $70,000 home in Atherton, the most expensive zip code in America, was still $70,000 in the 70s. And that was expensive. My dad was a dentist. He was able to afford it, but it was hard. And so it's never been easy. It's never been affordable in California. I could go on and on about why we see prices go up. But when you have world-class cities like San Francisco, like LA, like New York, there's money coming in from all over the world. And it's people with deep, deep pockets. So it kind of keeps it elevated.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
You're not coming to Cleveland. I'm sorry.
Listen, I'm out here for a reason. Okay. I don't blame them. Don't come to Cleveland. Actually, please. We don't want any more people. But yeah, I think it's really interesting to see how that goes because I'm 32, and you see a lot of people like my age, they're kind of hesitant to buy a house because they're not sure, or you hear everybody say, "Oh, well, I'm just waiting for the market to crash," right? You hear that stuff.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give somebody that's hesitant to buy a house, and they're hesitant to buy a house more so because they don't? It's not necessarily being able to afford it right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it going to be worth it long term with the way prices keep going up and up and up?
Yeah, so what I was saying earlier about why why a house when I was a child was $70,000 and now it's 7 million, like what happened? And back then, I'm older than you.
Okay.
I was in the 70s. I remember I remember sitting at the dinner table, and my dad worked. Most mothers didn't. And I remember him saying, "Boy, they just printed more money." And it was a few $1 billion or something. It wasn't much at the time, but it made front page news, and there were pictures of money machines making money. And he's like, if they keep doing that, then pretty soon you're going to need to have both people working. Wives aren't going to be able to be home because they're going to keep deflating the dollar. They're going to keep printing more, so you need more of it to buy the things that you want. And I don't know why I remember that as a child, but I just...
He called it.
He called it. And today, and it all started, and talking about 2009, it started in 2009. The only way to save America from that financial crisis was to print a ton of money. And then that became a really wonderful, convenient habit. And now you see everybody arguing about wanting more and more things, like, we don't need to go into detail.
Right, I get it.
But so the only way to pay that is to print more money. So we're stuck in the cycle. So really, that $7 million house that was $70,000 isn't really worth $7 million. It's just that it takes more dollars
To get to that point.
It's like if we were playing Monopoly and then you brought in another box of bank money and spread it out to, there's still the same amount of apartments and houses on the table, but there's just more dollars to chase
So
it.
awkward, because that's actually exactly how I play Monopoly.
Do
I
you?
literally bring extra down. I'm just kidding.
Cheater.
I'm just kidding. But that's really interesting from somebody who does it all the time. So what's your day to day like then? What are you doing within the real estate day to day? I mean, you're not selling houses anymore, or I mean, you're probably maintaining a lot of stuff that you have going on, right?
Yeah, we have a network with 88,000 members who still rely on me to help them make good decisions. And it's never not been scary, is all I can say. Like when we started in 2003 is when, again, I fell into it by accident.
Right.
Kind of going back to that, I had been in broadcasting in San Francisco. I worked in newsrooms there. Rich was a business and personal coach. His business had taken off. I was able to quit my job and be a stay-at-home mom, raise our kids. Everything was going amazing. He got a best-selling book with Simon & Schuster.
Good for him.
Got a $150,000 advance, which today would be $300,000 or $400,000. Like everything was amazing. We bought our first house, had 2 kids. And then on his book tour for his book, Extreme Success, he noticed a freckle. He's a redhead. I don't know if you've seen him running around, but he's got freckles everywhere. But he noticed this particular freckle. I guess must have been a weird looking one. Checked it out. It turned out to be melanoma. Melanoma, especially then, this is over 20 years ago, was just a death sentence.
Wow.
He was a bodybuilder, fried his skin and, tanning it and all that,
Yeah.
in the 80s.
Yeah.
That caught up with him, and the doctor told him he probably had 6 months to live. So it was like a top of the world to just falling off.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. And I just, I had these 2 young kids. We just bought this big house. We had a $4,000 a month mortgage, which today would be like $12,000.
Yeah, it was
It's
a
just
fat mortgage.
Oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't even know how to make money anymore. And, would anyone even in the industry hire me back? I was getting old. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But I still...
I get it. I mean, everybody would be in meltdown mode in that situation. I certainly would be.
Terrifying. We blew through our savings. We've been doing everything right, saving 10%, investing 10%, doing all the things they tell you to do.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how quickly you can go through that. So I just was like, nope. I still had a weekend radio show in San Francisco, and I just completely... It was just like news, current event type stuff. And I just changed it to, how do you make money? And how do you make it passively? How can I continue to raise my children and be a stay-at-home mom? I'm going to refuse to believe the doctor, and Rich is going to be okay. But, how do we make money so he can get off the treadmill, take care of himself, And I just turned my radio show into just a quest.
Which has
And-
been awesome.
And that taught me the secrets of the wealthy, which I teach today.
No shit.
No shit.
No shit. I mean, you really.
And Rich is alive.
you
Rich is
just-
alive and well today.
And shout out Rich, yeah. that would have been a terrible thing to
That's
not
a
tell.
terrible
That's
ending.
a terrible way to not tell people. Sorry, Rich.
Lost my husband, but I'm rich.
yeah, that's literally. What? Oh man, we gotta make sure we clip that correctly. That's funny. Hey, Mark, take some pictures. Come here. Yeah, Rich is alive and well. You just dove straight into you doing good to go.
Yeah.
Rich also had a $3 billion life insurance policy.
Oh, are you kidding? We didn't have a penny because he's a rock climber. He is a surfer. When the life insurance guy had come to our house and said, yeah, so how's your health? Great. What do you do? Oh, I rock climb. How high do you climb? Oh, 5,000 feet sometimes.
Oh,
in
yeah,
Yosemite.
no.
He's like, do you smoke weed? Yeah. Do you do both at the same time? Uh-huh. Okay, well, we're not.
That was
we're
an
done.
easy. That was like a super easy questionnaire.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. And get the fuck out of here.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. I mean,
Oh,
you know.
that's awesome. That's so funny.
So we didn't have that. But I learned, and I also was desperate for money because we blew through our savings. And I was like, how do I make money now? And sponsorships, right? So I had a radio show and I'd never really taken advantage of that. So I just was like dialing for dollars, trying to find sponsors. And at the time, this was in 2003, mortgage brokers were killing it. They were making so much money. And because you could basically give a mortgage to anyone at that time was the whole cause of the meltdown.
I know. I wish I was like 22 years old.
Yeah.
Right around that time.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was crazy.
Yeah.
So I got this guy who became a sponsor, and I charged him a lot of money to be the sponsor and wanted to make sure that he got value. So I was like, how do I make mortgages interesting? Like, ew. And I came home to Rich, and I'm like, what do I do? I just got this big sponsor, but I'm going to bore my audience. And Rich goes, well, why don't you interview his clients and find out what they're doing?
Right.
And that just kind of became our show. I'd interview people that would get mortgages, find out, they'd buy houses, fix them up, sell them for a profit. They would buy a first-time home with a 3%, even today you can get your first home with just 3% down. And then they would, if you live in it and fix it up and sell it after 2 years, you get all the gain, all the upside tax-free.
Okay.
Up to $500,000 if you're married, $250,000 if you're single. People talking about buy and hold rentals and it was just like these doors open to this world I had never known about. I was able to have Robert Kiyosaki on the show to teach me how to invest, and that was it. It just was like, knowledge is power.
Yeah. Is there anything that you still learn in the mortgage game where you like maybe a situation arises where a client ends up teaching you something, or it just is you've probably been through everything. There's probably no such thing as uncharted waters for you, right?
There's always more to learn. I've learned a lot of hard lessons though, but mostly I just remember Kiyosaki coming on Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Did you read that book?
I didn't.
You got to read that book.
Okay.
Everyone, please just read the book.
Okay, I'll read the book. Okay. Deal. I'll read the book. She's not gonna let me stay here again, but I'll read the book.
It's just a mental game changer of the difference between earning money and having money work for you. And it's just it seems like you hear it, but when you read the book, it's like, oh, okay. When you work, when you're a hardworking person, you are really taxed the highest. And when you're passively earning money, you get all these tax benefits.
Yeah, which is wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's backwards a little bit.
It's a little backwards and hard, but I got to tell people, like, you're going to be giving half of your income away to the government, and of course we want to pay our taxes, and of course we want to support the services that are there, but the government is incentivizing us to invest in real estate, and they're giving us huge tax rates to do it.
Right.
Why not? Why wouldn't you do it?
I think the real estate, I think it's really cool what you've done with it, because it kind of gives, you're really truly one of the pioneers of the podcast game then with the real estate content specifically.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
mean,
was one of the first.
yeah, you're definitely one of the first
'Cause
then.
I had a radio show, and then Rich had an iPod,
Yeah.
and there was like a little message that said, "Oh, we're doing podcasts now," and I'm like, "What? No one's gonna listen to
You're
that."
like, what the fuck is a
Yeah, what's that?
podcast?
He takes my radio show from San Francisco, just uploads it with commercials and everything, and like all of a sudden, I had listeners in 27 countries.
Isn't it crazy how it goes?
Crazy.
You get the most random. I get the craziest countries. I'll be like, oh wow, okay,
Wow.
thanks.
Okay, I'm glad
Yeah,
they're listening to
thanks,
me. And
yeah. Thanks
yeah.
for participating. And I get blown away. But the real estate has always been good. I mean, to my family, my aunt's a real estate agent. My other aunt is a loan officer, and yeah, they love it and they do well with it. You know. But I will say this is real estate agents, because I've been around enough to know, is you can always tell like their level of motivation by, I think how well they're selling, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you're not selling any houses, in my opinion, you're not trying. I think houses pretty much sell themselves, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because most real estate agents are broke. Most are making, 30,000-40,000 a year.
And having to pay for all the classes and you get to the
car,
licenses,
the
gas.
license, all of that.
Yeah.
And so there's, just like any business, there's a few that really make it to the top. My niece figured it out. I'm not a real estate agent per se.
Yeah.
Yeah, we more educate people on how to invest in real estate, and then we have teams across the country because California is just
But do you work with real estate agents?
Yeah.
So you work with everybody, though?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
nationwide,
you know
yeah.
both sides of it very well, which is...
I mean, I'm licensed, but I just don't sell homes.
Yeah, I gotcha.
We help people find investment properties that cash flow, and I also syndicate, which means that we'll bring investors together to buy one big deal together.
Yeah.
And they're all passive, and we do all the work.
Oh, wow, look at you. So it's okay, so it's like broker in the deal, basically, right?
No, it's more like a fund.
I understand.
Yeah.
I
So
understand.
like you'd invest 50,000 or 100,000, and we'll, I get another 20 people to do it, and we'll buy an apartment together, or something like that.
So you do a lot. All right, so you're doing all kinds of stuff. What's your favorite thing to do? Like for work? Like what would you say, like if you could do one of those things all day long, what would it be? Would it be your podcast? Would it be helping, somebody out? What would it be?
Weirdly enough, I do love podcasts.
They're fun, right?
I think I'm just meant to educate. People just have I learned once that, people have different chakra powers. Now I'm going to show my California side here.
Okay, let's hear it.
Yeah, and blue is the color of the throat chakra, and it's usually the educator. And people have told me I have I don't know, blue that's my power. It must be yours too.
I hope so.
you
I don't know. That's a great compliment.
You got to work on that, blue chakra.
I must have to. I must have to. You do, though. You meet a lot of people out here. That's why I like coming out here. I have a tendency to meet more people that are like have the mentality of like a doer than not, right? In certain areas. That's why I like coming out to Malibu particularly, because it's just way more relaxed. It's calm. And it seems like everybody I talk to is like, they're pretty well to do, where like, they obviously have done well and are doing something right.
Yeah, Malibu's cool because it's usually people that have succeeded in an art form of some kind.
That's for sure.
Yeah, it's like when I was in Northern California, most of the people were in the finance world, and they were way more boring. But Malibu, you go out and nobody's boring. Like everybody has succeeded in some kind of art. It's cool.
Yeah, nobody's boring in Malibu. That is that's so funny. That is so funny. That's so epic. And the food here is so good.
Yeah.
So I've gotten Malibu seafood twice. Why the line is just so long.
On weekends, I don't go near it.
I couldn't believe it.
I know. Every weekend.
I mean, it was around the whole building. I'm like, you got to be. I'm like, I'm not standing.
And people stand out in the heat, and I don't understand. I mean, you can order it to go.
Right.
You don't have to stand in that line.
Yeah, that's what I did. I ordered it to go. What?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna switch gears here a little bit. So you were here for the most recent fires.
Yep.
In Los Angeles, and so what's that like living in a home that is, right here?
Yeah,
and
we're in the line of fire.
100%. What's that like? Give me the ride through that.
Well, when we first found the land, and built the house, and it was in framing, which is really kind of a gift to the fire gods, just wood. And it came right through the 2018 fire, burned everything around it, but our house was standing somehow. The builders sprayed it down. So what's it feel like? It's funny because we still owned a home up the road because we were building this one, and then my office was down at the bottom. So I literally had 3 properties on one street. So dumb. I teach people. Remember I said that I don't do what I teach.
You're just like, yeah, don't ever do that.
I tell people to diversify the importance, and then I've got 3 properties on one street in a fire district. Oh my gosh!
All right.
But so it all came through. That house up there was totally fine. We kind of wished that one would have burned.
I've had those kinds of insurance things too.
Yeah.
Where you're like, damn, I wish it was this.
Like, come on.
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
But, we're sitting in Venice having some drinks, and I'm just watching Malibu burn, and like, there it goes. But the moment when they said, got to evacuate, it was a really kind of enlightening moment because I looked around, and there was nothing I wanted to take.
Yeah.
And people always wonder what that moment's going to be like, what are you going to take? And you know what I took? I took our scuba gear, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe I thought I'd dive into the ocean to protect myself.
I mean, if you were gonna, you were ready. It doesn't matter.
I guess so.
If you were gonna dive into the ocean, you had the right gear.
It was like a really awesome moment of realizing that I didn't care, and I was just not attached.
Yeah.
And if we lost all 3 properties, I was like, that's okay.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
I'll be fine.
My house burned down in 2018.
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
I lost everything, and I've been there, and I grabbed my kids' blankies.
Oh.
And that was it. But you lose everything, and it's
where?
Cleveland.
How did that happen?
Candle.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I mean, this is how it goes. But he was fine. Everybody was fine. But yeah, you lose everything, and it's that you feel for the people out here.
Yeah.
Because when you've been through it, you just understand that, like, what that loss is like. I couldn't imagine this. You can't compare it to mine because this scale is just like all these people lost their homes. I mean, neighborhoods are destroyed. We drove through. Where do we drive through? It's Palisades. Yeah, and it was we couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's one thing to lose your home. It's another to lose your entire community. Like there's no school, there's no town, it's just gone. It's really so incredibly sad.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. So what were you? So you were in Venice.
So we're in Venice watching it, and that's when I realized that I didn't care. It was really a weird and enlightening moment, and obviously I was so overjoyed when nothing burned.
You were fine, yeah.
We were miraculously fine because it came right through this canyon. Literally, the house next to ours burned. Up that house, and the house next to us here burned. Yeah. But ours both didn't. So
everything was fine.
It was like really relieving. But it was like I have my family. I have the things that matter, and so many of the external things and material things that we've been taught to want to keep the economy going, don't matter at all.
It's amazing. It's truly a humbling experience to go through, especially in that. I mean, you realize how much you don't need. I've interviewed an interesting couple people on here, and one of them is a buddy of mine. He was actually up here a little bit ago. He did 16 years in federal prison, and he goes, "You don't realize how much you don't need until you're in that environment."
Yeah.
Right? Because you get out here and there's so many options. Like, you go to the store, it's like there's 37 different kinds of toothpaste.
Yep.
In jail, there's just one. So it's truly amazing, like, how much people really don't need to survive on when they go to it. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, an example is I obviously I'm in real estate and I own this property and I rent out this tiny home, but renting out this tiny home and the guest house pays for the entire thing.
That's awesome.
It's really cool, but sometimes we'll rent out our main house, for movies and stuff like that, and we'll come stay.
Is that the guest house?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you hear that?
So
that's some bullshit. I didn't know about that. I want to rent the guest house. Is the guest house nice too?
Yeah.
What do you think's better?
Well, we stay in
I'm
either
derailing
one.
you because I just found out there's a guest house here too.
I'll show it to you.
Yeah.
But, so we kind of live in Malibu free because these 2 units generate enough income to cover the cost. And those are some of the things that I tell people.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do through leverage. But we'll come out here and we'll spend a week in this tiny house, and we love it. And we bring a little bag of clothes, and life is so simple, and we just hang out and we get more time together because we're together. Whereas when we're in the bigger house, we don't see each other as much. We're separated. When we first moved to Malibu, we were broke, like I talked about.
Yeah.
And our daughter was a freshman, and we lived in a tiny, tiny little 800 square foot place. It was a 2-bedroom, but tiny. And she was embarrassed. She didn't want her friends over because they all lived in mansions. Well, after time, it turned out our house was the place where all the kids would come. In our 800 square foot little condo, we'd have 20 kids. And it was like they were just not used to seeing people because their parents would be on the other side of the mansion, or they'd be in the guest house. And they loved that I would make them smoothies or make them dinner. They weren't used to seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing though. What a weird comparison to be able to make as a child though. I bet you that has become valuable though for your daughter.
Yeah.
That particular.
She's
for you
still
guys.
a princess, but
Yeah, I mean, you
But
can't
no,
win them all,
But it was hard. It was really hard for her to be the poor kid in Malibu, basically.
Yeah.
But then what I think the valuable lesson she learned is to have value. The other kids, it wasn't their money; it was their parents' money. So there's that fraudulent feeling of
that's the thing.
Do you know what I mean? They didn't do it.
All these kids, and this is true for the neighborhood I grew up. I grew up in a very wealthy side on the west side of Cleveland, and my parents didn't have dick. Still don't, but they didn't have shit, and it was, you'd see that on this level though. I couldn't imagine, you go to your one friend's house, it's a fucking palace.
Yeah.
And then, but you know what?
No, Krista was in the most wealthiest homes in the world. Some of the places with the famous people, which I won't mention, but she learned, and everybody learned. It's interesting. All kids just go to this one school. It's a public school.
Yeah.
So it's Malibu's very protected, and there's a lot of anti-paparazzi type stuff here. So,
of course.
So the super, super wealthy, famous kids are going to school with the maids' kids, and the surfer kids who have nothing. It's just a really interesting mix. And what would happen is kids don't care if you have money or not. They care. What Krista learned is they care if you're funny. They care if you're athletic. They care if you're smart. If you're a good person, or
That's it.
And money had. In fact, the kids who were spoiled and had money were usually not popular because they didn't have relational skills. And
I couldn't agree with you more on that. Actually, my son, I have a 9-year-old, and it doesn't matter who anybody is.
Yeah,
he doesn't give a shit.
Don't care.
And he's not asking either because he's not, you know what I mean? He doesn't know enough to be like, you know. But yeah, that's a very interesting way to look at it too. Kids don't.
So they have to develop character. They have to develop humor and relational skills, and that's what makes them popular. And so,
what do you think gives kids the what do you think gives these kids the permission slip when their parents are wealthy to act as if they are wealthy? Do you see what I'm saying there? Does that make sense?
Well,
the entitlement, I suppose, is what I'm going at.
I can tell you the inside scoop on all of it.
Yeah.
They had credit cards. They had Uber cards. They could Uber anywhere at any time. They could buy whatever they want at any time. Our daughter didn't have any of that. She had to buy her own car. She had to work. What she found out later is when kids, Krista, we moved here because she was an actress, so she was working since 10.
Right.
But a lot of kids, once they got out of college, they'd never worked. And when you're kind of competing in the world against kids who've been working since they're 10, it's scary. So these kids who were basically given everything are then how are they supposed to survive?
Right.
And they have a tough time, and they're scared. How do you get your first job at 22? You're not going to go scoop ice cream like you might at 16.
It's just amazing, and I've noticed too the most, not all of them, but the majority for sure, never really became anything in life.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what I've seen.
It's just sad. So
You know?
it's extremely difficult. With our older daughter, we were just broke, so she just had to deal with it. And she,
It just was what
you know,
it
it's just like
was.
you know, and she bought her own car. It was a Jeep, and all her friends were getting brand new BMWs. But she had the most popular Jeep. Like everyone wanted
Yeah,
her
whatever.
car.
Sweet.
Yeah, and she paid like $2,000 for it, but it was the car everyone wanted to drive for whatever reason. I think they had respect for her for doing that on her own. But with Krista, the younger one, by then we had money, and then it was like, how do you withhold it when you have it, and you kind of know it's better for them if I let them figure life out on their own. But
Right.
it's so hard.
Yeah, I bet.
It's so hard, and so we had, you know, still
Get to your ice cream scooping job.
no, really, and we would
I mean, you
didn't.
have to, right? As a parent, you kind of have to.
It's just better for their character, and so sure enough, they're both really, they've launched. You know, my oldest daughter has a business. She's killing it. She's making it. I told her last night, I'm like, you make more than a doctor.
Yeah.
You know, and she's 30.
Good for her.
With 2 kids, and my younger one just started her business selling international real estate. She kind of modeled what we do. Both kids worked for our company starting at 15.
Right.
You know, they know our company inside and out. So our younger one just modeled the same thing. We help people buy investment property nationwide. That cash flows make sense. It's all turnkey. Make it easy for you. She does the same thing internationally because she decided. She was graduating. She was one of the COVID kids, right? She was in college.
I understand.
Couldn't
Do anything.
Do anything. Didn't get to do her junior year abroad and stuff. So as soon as she graduated, she did her abroad time and was like, "Oh, I love this." Funded it all herself. We didn't pay for any of it, and then I did help her start the company because she's like, "I want to find a way to
And how
support myself."
valuable is that, though, for you as a parent to have a child find interest in what you do?
Love it.
You know what I'm saying?
love
That's
it.
That's
Yeah.
got to be some great bonding too.
It's so fun. It's so fun to watch her. I love to watch her struggle as
Yeah.
she builds this thing because I know that's building her character. You know, she's like, "What, Mom? What's an S corp? I think I need an S corp." Yeah, you do. Let's put that together. And even, you know, like, "Oh, wow, I didn't know I had to pay tax on all this." Well, yeah, that's how it works. You know, you just made $15,000 in a commission check on this huge deal. You're not getting all of that.
No, no.
You
Put
have
half of that away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And
Put
that's
half
just,
of that away for taxes, baby.
yeah.
Well, that is an interesting thing you said earlier, though. The harder you basically get penalized, the harder you work, the more you get fucked with taxes. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
the way it is. And,
Yeah.
you know, I've always wondered if it's ever going to get to a point where, like, it doesn't make sense for somebody to achieve over a certain amount for the taxes because it just gets so astronomically insane.
You wouldn't believe when I started, like I said, 20 years ago, when I had my radio show and I was interviewing all these experts and I'm learning all these secrets. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, it was Kiyosaki who said, this crash is coming. It's very obvious. All these loans are going to fall apart because no one qualified for them to begin with. They just
Right.
fill out paperwork and make up their income. No documentation needed. He's like, of course that's going to blow up. It's going to blow up in 2007, 2008 because that's when the loans are due. Like all of it was predictable. And he said, you can get out of the storm by getting into an area where there's job growth, population growth, but the prices have not gone up above what the average person can afford. And he said that's kind of the secret. That's why Cleveland works.
Do people like that though in the industry, even at that time, do they seem like they're out of their minds because you're just like, no way this is gonna happen?
Well, I had that mortgage broker as my sponsor, and then the show took off, and all of a sudden everybody wanted a mortgage, and he couldn't keep up with the business, so he asked me to join him in his company.
Yeah.
And I became a mortgage broker. So I saw the fraud everywhere.
Yeah.
And I would come home and say, Rich, does this seem legal? Like they're literally changing this person's income.
Yeah, just
oh,
to
they
make it
don't
happen.
they don't qualify. We're just going to change it. And he's like, no, that's fraud. So I couldn't participate in that. And everyone was. Even the banks were doing it. Everyone.
Yeah, I've watched some pretty wild documentaries on that, and I always am like, no way. Like,
But I knew like, you didn't have to. It was just common sense. Like this is going to blow up. This woman earns $2,000 a month, and I can get her, $1 million house. like because it was just a teaser rate.
That's crazy.
And it's like, obviously, when this resets, the payment's gonna be $5,000. She makes $2,000. Huh?
If I was in 8th grade,
Like-
I'd have bought a house.
Exactly.
You know what
if you
I'm
were
saying?
If you were a dog, you could buy a house.
Yeah, for real.
So it wasn't that hard to figure out. And when I finally got someone like Kiyosaki to say, yeah, of course it's going to blow up. It was like, okay, so I'm not the crazy one.
Right.
They're all crazy. So I was able to warn millions of people. I was able to say, this is all blowing up, but there's this little safe haven in Texas where they haven't done these crazy loans. They went through the S&L crisis in the 80s. They went through a banking crisis. They're not doing these loans. They have strong job growth. They have strong population growth, and the prices are still within the right, like people can afford them. So I helped, like I said, thousands of people sell at the peak and take all that money and put it in Texas where they never felt the recession. Their properties continue to grow in value. They've doubled, tripled, if not quadrupled since then. They've cash flowed on them. Obviously, Texas has done very well economically. So, like I said, if you know what to look for, you don't have to crash and burn in real estate. Like I said, I didn't listen to my own advice. I was showing everybody how to get out of the storm, sell their California property. Guess what I did? I bought some California property. Yeah.
Kathy's out here just like, and this is what happens on the other side of it when you don't do what I tell you.
And then
to
you
do.
hand the little keys back to the bank, and you're like, thanks a lot.
What's the biggest loss you've ever seen somebody take on a property?
Oh, the biggest loss well, you know what? There's one that just happened up the street. Very
Really?
sad about that. Yeah. Somebody who kind of, let me just say, businesses tend to be there's my honey. Businesses, what is it? 50% of businesses fail in the first 5 years or something like that. So over leveraging is what will take people down. So there's a guy up the street. I feel so sorry for him. He's a firefighter. He saved our house. He's saved many houses here. He didn't save his own home because he started a business, refied against his house, took all that money, and the business failed. Failed during COVID. Wasn't his fault, but nonetheless,
Yeah, it happened.
it happens. And he lost his home. He lost everything. He's got IRS liens. It's just like, he's 65 years old.
Oh, shit.
It's a horrible time to restart. So, yeah, that's an example.
Wow.
Yeah. So you just like, Rich and I talk about this all the time. Having reserves is the most important thing. Making sure that you've got savings, that you've got at least 6 months reserves of all of your expenses. And it doesn't have to be sitting in a savings account. It should be in an interest-bearing account. But it needs to be liquid enough that you can get to it and it's not at risk.
What are your opinions on 401ks?
If your company's matching, great. If otherwise, you can do much better in real estate.
I agree.
And I like to just give simple math. Like here's super simple girl math. It's like if you buy a $100,000 house, let's say, and you put 20% down, so that's $20,000, $100,000 house, and that house goes up 5%. It's a $105,000 house now. You invested $20,000 and you made $5,000. That's a very good return.
Yeah, you did great.
You did great. And that's like, what, a 20% return. So people will say, oh, how do you, 5%, I could make 10% in the stock market. Yeah, but you're not using leverage.
Yeah, I understand. I understand what you're saying.
And you get the tax benefits on top of that. And if you rent that house out, you're getting rental income.
It's a no-brainer for you.
It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
My nephew is a financial planner, and he's sat down, he's tried to explain.
So what's the appeal then to buying a family home? In my opinion, if you can, so the better way to do it is fuck a family home, buy an investment property. I mean, this is genius. I didn't realize your guest house was also.
Yeah.
Well, I told Mark earlier he was gonna have to sleep in the shed. I was like, that's your bedroom right there, bro.
Well, we got couches out here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I told him. I said, shit.
No, it just, the thing about your primary, in California, it's very difficult. It makes no sense. Unless you can put on an ADU. California has really pushed for the ADU law because they're trying to bring on more affordable housing. So if you buy a home that has a large enough lot that you could put 1 or 2 ADUs on, make those investment properties like we have, you're not paying a mortgage.
Yeah.
Or you can get an FHA loan and go up to $1.2 million in California if you get a fourplex. And rent the other 3 units out. You can house hack. That's the term used for buying a house and renting out rooms with it through pad split or through friends. That's how we got started.
Yeah.
We just kind of bought a 5-bedroom house and turned it into a 4-plex.
See, this is the ideal scenario though, because you got the location as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It took some time to get here, though.
Oh yeah, of course.
We didn't do this as our first
I'm just
investment.
saying that this location is banging right here.
We had to sell our Cleveland properties to get in
Yeah,
here.
you're setting the expectation way too high for me right now. I'd be like buying an investment property, like Kathy would think this is shit.
You got to start. The thing is, you got to start. And your earlier question about are we in a bubble and prices are so high we must be in a bubble, that's a common thought, and it makes sense. Like a bubble would mean things have bubbled up, right? Prices have gone up, but but what would cause a crash and what would cause prices to go down? It always comes down to supply and demand. If there's demand for something and not enough supply of it and people need it and want it, prices go up. They get frenzied, right? It's like, I need a house. Well, you have a millennial generation between the ages of 30 and 34 that's the largest demographic in history.
Really? Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah. It's if you look at the population curve, there's this bump, and it's this 30 to 34-year-olds. So those people had the hardest time in soccer because there was so much competition. They had the hardest time getting straight A's because there was so much competition. Hardest time getting into college. Hardest time getting a job because there's so many of them. And then, guess what? The world forgot to look at, well, you know what? Someday they're going to want a home. They're going to want a place to live. And they're not going to live with mom and dad anymore. And there wasn't the housing for this bump. And sadly, these are the people that are at first-time home buying age, and there's nothing for them. And the reason there's nothing for them is that the last however many years, financing was so low as 2%, that those of us who bought during that time period, I'm never going to let this house go.
Right.
If somebody bought this house today, the payment would be 3 times what we pay.
Right.
If we tried to live anywhere else, we couldn't. So you've got 40% of homeowners own their homes free and clear. There is no distress. They have no reason to sell. Then you've got another massive amount. Most mortgages are below 4%. So the housing market is not in distress. Who's in distress are those who want to be in the housing market. That's the distress.
I understand.
So there can't be a bubble if there's not any.
I watched the
Do you know what I'm saying?
I watched The Big Short.
Yeah.
Right, and I thought that was like a really interesting take on it.
Yeah.
From your experience, what is the accuracy in that movie, or are there inaccuracies that stand out to you where you're like, that's not true, there's no way?
That movie is completely accurate.
Okay.
It was greed. I was in the middle of it. I was a mortgage broker in the midst of all of that fraud, and it was everyone. I can't even begin to tell you how bad it was. And I came into it going, is this how finance works? I didn't know anything about finance. I was a news reporter. I didn't know. I was like, well, you can just fill out an application and get $1 million loan. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
It's just like none of it made
You're
sense.
like, I'll fill out this paperwork.
I'm like this stay-at-home mom, and like, how are there people in boardrooms making such idiotic decisions? But it just is what it is. So all of that is true. That what's different, those were adjustable rate mortgages. Today, the amount of people on adjustable rate mortgages is tiny. So everybody else...
And did that change
That changed.
then?
2012 was Dodd-Frank came
Okay.
in, and they completely overhauled.
I forget what they called them, the way they were packaging them. I forget what the term was. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then the reason I had said that, and like I said, that movie was obviously put out a while ago, but it also said that they still use the same things today. They just use a different term, and they tell them what the term is. It's right at the end of the movie.
But today's loans are good.
That's what I meant to. That's what I'm getting at.
So
they're different kinds of loans.
They were rating those subprime loans where, they were literally called ninja loans.
Yeah.
No income, no job.
Yeah.
No problem. Like
Multiple
literally-
mortgages.
Like you don't have a history of paying your bills? No problem.
Yeah, sure. Here's $500,000.
Have a job. Here you go. Here's a house
Yeah.
for you.
You're
for
a
you,
shitty
for
stripper
you.
down the street.
Hey,
$400,000
Listen,
for you.
the strippers could afford it.
I've heard that.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
heard that before.
No, it was the hairdressers I was more worried about. But anyone, literally anyone.
Hairdresser's a red flag. Hairdressers are
Or
red
it was the
flags.
gardeners who were suddenly landscapers. You're like, whatever you
There you
could do
go.
to increase.
Yeah, you got a
the,
social security number? Come here, baby.
That was it. That was all you
I
needed.
mean,
And
seriously, I believe that.
you didn't even need that probably. But
Yeah.
So none of it made sense. But then in 2012, Dodd-Frank came in and changed the laws and made it very strict. Now we have what's called a qualified mortgage, which means you actually have to qualify to get a mortgage. And since
Yeah.
then, since 2012, so it's been 12 years, it's been 30-year fixed rate mortgages. So the payments don't change. We have the highest FICO scores in history over the last 10 years. So people who have a history of paying their bills, they now are sitting on an enormous amount of equity with low payments. The people who own homes today have the lowest housing payment in history compared to their income. So there's just, again, like for home prices to go down, you have to have too many homes on the market and distress. People going, I got to sell for a massive discount.
Right.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, it's not happening at all.
You don't
right
have
now.
to do that.
No.
If you don't want to live in your house anymore and you want to move, you just rent it. You rent it out.
I
Because
think that is, but a lot of people, like my kid's mom, she doesn't want to move out of the house she's got because she's got such a low rate,
yeah.
right? And I'm just like, well, and if she were to go refinance, it would obviously would be no longer.
Now you have doubled your payment.
Yeah, and so she's like,
Yeah.
I don't see
They
a
wanna do it.
reason to leave, you know. And I was like, well, because she does have equity in the house, so
Yeah.
no reason to leave, and right in my son's school district, and you know,
Yeah, so she gonna go, I want to leave. I'm gonna just give people a 20% discount on my house. Like, no.
no,
So that's what
she
the
sure
market's
as hell ain't doing that.
So it's like people are sitting on an enormous amount of wealth. They're not in distress. So what we teach is like the importance of finding out how you can get on the party bus.
I understand.
Yeah.
What's something that drives you every day though to get up and give that help? Like what is it about that what you do that you love so much?
I don't know. I tell people all the time, find the thing that you just never get tired of. I've been doing this 25 years and I'm
Yeah.
not bored. How could I possibly still be talking about real estate?
But you work from home a lot, right?
I work from home. I just
That's how she does it.
when
I
you
can fucking do it. I'd be fucking jacked to wake up every morning too if this was my view.
no,
Yeah,
I just
well, we don't need to answer that
I
question
love
anymore. We
helping
figured
people.
it out.
We've had so many people. I feel like for me, I was in a place of we're never going to get out of this bind. We're never going to build wealth. As soon as we make money, we got a bill we have to pay. We've been bankrupt.
More money, more problems.
And then all of a sudden, when I started interviewing wealthy people and learning their secrets, it was like this world opened up to me, and I was able to create what I only dreamed of. And now I teach other people how to do that, and we have evidence. So many people whose lives have changed. So how could I not love that?
Yeah, that's great.
You
That's
know?
got to be a great feeling,
It's a great
especially when
feeling.
you're doing the right thing there. I can imagine the mixed feelings, the mixed emotions you had, and I'm going to ask you about that. We'll backtrack a little bit. When the housing market crashed and you had lost in not taking your own advice, how was that did you break that to people that you, as a lesson?
No,
Okay.
Not right away.
Not right away.
no, because I was like,
You're like, fuck.
we're just like, no, we moved to Malibu. Like, it was the weirdest thing because I remember standing in the house that we had renovated. It was on the top of this hill, beautiful home, our dream home in San Francisco, and we lost it. And, we had put our blood, sweat, and tears. We'd done the renovation ourselves with our hands. Like, it took us a week to put our floors
Oh,
in.
so you went the whole thing.
I was standing, and it was the most beautiful home with this rainbow. It was raining. It was like the scene in the movies. Always the rain comes down on the turning point or
Yeah.
whatever. So it's raining. There's a rainbow. There's like a triple rainbow. I'm like, double rainbow. And I'm crying. I could cry because it was raining, so no one could hear me. And just sobbing. And then I just remember going, next place is going to be better.
Yeah.
It's okay. The next place is going to be better. I don't know how, but we're going to get through this. And then my daughter was an actress, and she was just booking every single audition in San Francisco. And then shortly after that, her agent calls and goes, she should move to LA. I've got an agent that wants to represent her. And Rich is like, we're not moving to LA. And then Krista goes, what about Malibu? And we're like, So we took a trip to Malibu. Here we are, just like broke,
Yeah.
losing everything. But Malibu was broke too. Like, it was empty. And we were able to rent a place on the beach, a 3-story house on the beach, for less than what we would have rented a little shack for in San Francisco.
It's so expensive over there.
And it was something about Malibu at that time that just, it was empty because everyone else had lost everything.
Yeah.
So
Welcome to the party,
it's like,
everybody.
okay. So for a year,
Who's paying for dinner?
we're like, well, for a year we can just relax and recover, and Krista can get her acting career going, and so we moved down here, and then I think being in that space and being on the water and the beauty of Malibu, I just picked myself up and I'm like, I'm gonna figure this out. At that time, there were millions of foreclosures across the country, and still my phones were ringing of people wanting deals. I remember what it was. I got a call from this woman in Australia. She said, I listened to your podcast. I know that real estate, there's foreclosures everywhere. I have thousands of Australians that would like to buy U.S. real estate. And their dollar, the Aussie dollar, had doubled, and our real estate was like 10% of its value. So Aussies could come over and it was just like candy. So they're like, can I fly you out to Sydney? And they fly me out. I'm in a room of 1,000 investors, and they're throwing money at me. They're like, we want something.
You're like, this is the jackpot.
And then suddenly I'm like taking busloads of Australians to buy U.S. real estate.
Shout out Australia. So
Yeah.
you were just
Yep.
bringing the Aussies in.
But it was cool because
That's
like
awesome.
there were neighborhoods in Indianapolis and Kansas City and Tampa and Atlanta where every single house was foreclosed and boarded up.
Yeah.
And then there'd be like one little senior citizen looking out like, what happened to my neighborhood? And I'd come in with the Aussies, and they would buy up every single house. We would restore them. We'd renovate them.
And they were loving that.
And we would restore the neighborhoods. And that's how I won the Goldman Sachs Award.
There's congratulations on that. Well, there's a guy in Cleveland right now who, because there's a lot of shitholes in Cleveland,
Yeah.
and he put a sign up like in the middle of the hood that says, I buy crack houses. I swear to God. And then all the people in the neighborhood got pissed and they made him take it down. because they said it's offensive to their neighborhood,
Oh,
but it's
my
like a
gosh.
sign. It's like it literally says I buy
That's so
crack
funny.
house.
But Cleveland was one of the neighborhoods that I would literally take a tour of Aussies, a different city every day to see which one they liked, and Cleveland was one of them. And as you may or may not remember, there were entire neighborhoods boarded up. You were probably too. You were probably very young.
Yeah, I
at that
was
time.
like I said, I was instead of buying houses, I was fucking off in 8th grade.
okay, you were like a little older than 2, but it like I'm really proud of what we were able to do is to bring that money in, buy the homes, fix them up, put tenants in it, and bring those neighborhoods
Have you
back.
sold a house in like all 50 states, or are you just licensed or like stuff like that?
I'm only licensed in California, so
Okay.
we have brokers in each
So
state.
you line
that we
them up
do
with
broker
everybody.
to broker. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So you probably have a massive network.
Yes.
You've sold to some famous people or hooked you from some famous people up, I'm sure.
Yeah, we
huh?
have. Yeah.
Some ballers.
Yeah, some big ballers.
Trying to get on this level. Guys. What would your like best piece of advice be to give to somebody who like is going to take steps into like a duplex type of situation? What are your thoughts on that? Like living in the duplex with your tenants.
Absolutely.
You like that idea?
Oh yeah. That's what I was saying with the FHA loan. You can put 3% down and get a fourplex and up to 1.2 million. So, what's 3% of that? It's we're talking like $40,000.
I was thinking about doing this in Lakewood because Lakewood doesn't it have like the most doubles, something like that.
You invested in Cleveland, right?
Lakewood's a great market.
Lakewood,
Yeah.
it's got like
Yeah.
the most doubles.
Oh yeah.
It's got a shit ton of. I mean, the most I think in the country in like one area.
I've got a
This is from the 1900s, where one unit downstairs, the other one upstairs,
Yeah.
instead of next to each other. Now the thing is converted into single family, and they're bringing $500,000.
Oh no! So I hired this 21-year-old to put on our events, and she ended up working with us for probably 15 years. And when she was just in her 20s, she was smart enough to take my advice, you know. And she lived in California, but when you're young, and we're a remote company, and if you can kind of be remote for a while, you can live anywhere. And then you can call that your home, and then you can buy that property, but you don't have to live there forever. So she understood that. She liked Cleveland a lot. Her boyfriend was from Cleveland, so they decided to buy a duplex, like you were talking about, in Lakewood. This was probably 10 years ago. She put 3% down.
That was the right time to fucking buy it.
She probably had a salary of $40,000 or something, but she was still able to qualify for that. She only had to live there for a year. That's the requirement for FHA. Then they ended up renting the whole thing out and traveling. Then she just traveled remotely all over the world while still working for us. But now, obviously, that's gone up enormously in value.
Enormously, yeah.
They finished their world travels like 6 years later, and now they're living there, and they rent out the lower unit. So they kind of basically, like us, live there for free.
No shit.
So I can't emphasize enough the importance of getting started. If you don't start, our money system is incredibly manipulated. And the dollar value can go up or down. But the more that the government prints money, and they have to, there's no way to even pay the interest on our debt unless they print more money. And every time they do that, the value of hard assets go up simply because there's more dollars out there chasing it. So it's only going to get harder. It's not going to get easier.
I really appreciate the way you just described that. That was very, very well done. Is there anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, who are you?
And that's it, folks. No, I'm just kidding.
You're from Cleveland. You're
Yeah.
out here interviewing.
Yeah.
I
I just have some like random people that stop by. Yeah, no, we come out here and we interview interesting people. That's what we do. We come out here usually once a month and we interview. I mean, we've got some like pretty cool contacts that we go through, and we just interview whoever, and we'll go to them or they'll come to us, or
It's snowballed into other things.
he's in the middle of
Awesome.
they're doing a movie with
TV show.
they're doing a doc series with like Danny
So
Trejo and
fun.
them, and
Wow.
it's just spiraled into these great things. But that's how it started, just coming out here, and we just started networking with different people. We started in Orange County, and then we went through like some of the guys on the Jackass movie, and then we met more people up here, and then we met more people through them and more people through them. But we love to network and just kind of hang out and get to know everybody. It's real interesting.
Amazing.
And I've been very fortunate to have some cool guests. And then I have an auto shop in Ohio. And then I have part of a watch company I own. And then Mark, he does a lot of stuff with like cars. And yeah, I mean, it's
Amazing.
but this is like the fun passion project thing, but we love it. You know, it's fun to come out here and podcast with people. And I was going to leave tonight, and then we switched it. I was like, fuck it. Genius, ready for my scam of the day? You guys ready?
Ready.
United offers me. I changed my flight earlier today. I was supposed to take a red eye home tomorrow night, right? And so I'm like, whatever. I'll just go home tonight. I changed it earlier. Then I go on to change it back, and they're like, Mr. Barry, you can have a $550 flight credit if you change your flight. And I'm like, love it. But the flight I wanted wasn't available, so I changed it. They gave me the credit. Mark called United, and then no money out of pocket, no more miles out of pocket, switched my flight back to the original one.
Sweet.
Plus a $550 credit. So shout out United, baby. Yeah.
On miles.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Genius.
Oh, well, we have no one checking in tomorrow night, so stay as long as you want.
You're the
tomorrow.
best. We appreciate you for real. That's me. But we come out here, we do all kinds of stuff. We had Trav Q up here yesterday. He is a influencer. He does like some pretty crazy videos. But just like a nice guy, well-to-do from out of Brooklyn, New York. I did Compton Menace up here. He was in the movie Straight Outta Compton. He was one of the guys in there. I've done who else? I did a movie. I did this guy. I don't think I'm gonna use this podcast though. He's a movie director, not nearly as famous as anybody else that I've had up here, and he was a dick. He was, for no reason. He was just not nice.
Wow.
And so I don't know. We'll
That's
see if
funny.
he uses. But anyways, I always finish the podcast with this question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy would you consider yourself to be? And if it's not a 10, what do you think you could do to get yourself closer to a 10?
The first thing that came to mind was a 10.
Yeah.
I've got 2 grandbabies. It's the best thing in the world. And then my youngest daughter was just got engaged.
Oh, congrats. So,
So,
you're on cloud 9
I'm
over
on
here.
cloud. I love my son-in-laws. I'm just in a good place. I finally have time. My husband came in and joined me in the business, and he's more of a CEO type than I am. I'm
Yeah.
more of an entrepreneur, wild ideal person. So he has systemized our company to a point where every single job I had, which was all of them in the beginning, has been replaced. And we have now sort of a self-managing business.
Wonderful.
And we wrote a book on it, actually, of how he's able to put those systems in place. So I now have the free time that I didn't really have for the last 20 years, and I get to spend time doing the things I love.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate, again, you letting us stay here and for being on the podcast. You're also, for the record, the only Airbnb host I've ever had on the podcast.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'll
you
take
know,
it.
that's there is a first for everything.
Oh, I'm so happy about that.
So thank you again, for real.
And the first tiny house, I hope.
And it is actually the first tiny. That's why I booked it. I was like, well, fuck it. We're gonna see what this is all about.